we have ventures of people, and the marriages are long gone. We still have the ventures, but the marriages are. Some of those invitations might have nostalgic value, but newspapers you could throw out.
Okay, let's try to make it quick tonight before my voice gives out. I took Mr. Zuger's medicine today. It actually was good. It doesn't help my cold very much, sneezing, but it did help my sinuses. Yeah, I saw it was good for rattlesnake bite, so that made me feel good. All those rattlesnakes around my house today. I was really scared.
They're more prevalent in Skokie.
Page 74. Somebody who rebels against her husband. Now, that means she refuses to have relations with him. She loses from her ksuva, Shiva dinar and b'Shabbos, $7 a week. Okay? Shiva... What? Loses her ksuva. Right, each month we take off $207 a week from her ksuva. Rabbi Yehuda Meir Shiva tarpikin. That's a little bit less. Some other measure. Ad Mosai Poches. How much do you deduct from her ksuva? Hakaneg ksuva, so the entire amount. Rabbi Yosef Meir Loylam b'Poches v'Yolech. You know what? Even go past her ksuva. You put her into the negative numbers. Why do you put in the negative numbers? Because maybe Shem Tipo Lo Yerusha Mokom Acher. If she inherits money from somewhere else, then Yigbel Sami Mena, he's going to collect it from her. So he keeps on going to negative numbers to make sure that she gets the, he can get money from her. So it's like a bottomless pit. It's like kind of like, major wars against people who have no money. Someday maybe they'll make money, so we can garnish their wages. So the same idea.
So
okay?
Do you think you'd get the idea by the time he reaches 200 zuz and divorce her?
No, he hates her. This is for spite.
But she's rebelling against...
He's rebelling against him.
But he won't divorce her out of spite.
Right. Right. Rabbi Yosef, maybe he loves her so much, so he wants to have relations with her. Rabbi Yosef, I'm sorry. The Chena Mori Elisha, what about the other way around? A guy rebels against his wife. So Motiv Lo Ksuva, so he has to add to her Ksuva, Shlosha Dinar B'Shabbos. Rid of Shlosha Tarpikin. Halchat Amar Shiva, V'achad Amar Shlosha. Says the Gemara, here you say 7 by him. V'achad Amar Shlosha, here you say 3 by her. So where's the parity? So Amar Yerushalmi's reason is very interesting. It's not brought down the Bavli, as far as I recall. Second reason is, but not this one. Yerushalmi says, she's got to do 7 things for him. The previous mission said she's got to cook, clean, so there were 7 things there. So you were in here, right? So she's got to do 7 things. So wherever she loses $7 a week. Since he owes her 3 things: money, support, clothing, and relations.
Who's going to enforce this?
Based in. Yeah. Hagat Smecha. Here's where I don't like this. Imagine this. She brings into him slaves. So she doesn't have to do any work. We said in the previous Mishnah, she brings slaves into marriage. She doesn't have to do any work, right? So how much are you going to deduct from her ksuva that? Hagat, on the contrary, imagine this. When he made a condition with her, lo share lo ksus lo, and that he's not giving her any of the 3 things. So he doesn't know her a thing. So what are you going to deduct in that case? Maikadun. So if that's the case, Taka, what comes out? In other words, these are all situational, the 7 and 3 things. So what comes out, said, the man has more anguish from lack of relations than the woman. That's the way it is, because he's more of an animal. As it says, it says that Delilah, caused Shimshon anguish by refraining from having relations with her. Kol Yomim of all the days. Vatautsei, when she applied pressure to him, and that's why eventually he revealed the secrets to her. My Vatautsei, what's Vatautsei? Amr Ravitza by Lezer, Shometes Atzmei Tachtav. They would get to the point of, the climax, then she would just walk away. She'd from underneath him. She'd remove herself from the bed. So it says, his soul became short, in other words, upset, to the point that he was ready to die. So if that's the case, who cuts her nafsho lamus? He was in that state. He cuts her nafsho. She was in that state lamus. So it must be that he had more anguish than she did, right? Some say not necessarily. She was getting her fill from other men. So she had adulterous relationships. So it was not necessarily that she had more tzar. She had less tzar. She might have had more tzar theoretically, but she was getting fulfillment elsewhere. Says more, no, that wouldn't work. Kol shekain, in the amazing Gemara, where it says no. If she was getting fulfillment elsewhere, then she would have wanted Shimshon doubly as much. Why? Kol shekain the Tova, she would have demanded Shimshon more. The Amar Rav Nachman, Shem Rav Nachman. So there must be a typo here. It says Rav Nachman named Rav Nachman. Abraham said this limb in an individual, Shabbatim in a man, and also in women, obviously. Here vivaso, if you make it famished, he's biaso, then it's satiated. He's biaso, if you make it satiated, here vivaso, then it's famished. So therefore, if the Lila is really into having more and more liaisons, that you would want Shimshon even more. So it must be, like we said, that women are not as hungry for this desire as men are. Okay? Period. Rabbi Lezer ad kamo pochis. Now Rabbi Lezer said previously that each and every occupation has its own set of requirements for how many times the husband has to have relations with his wife. You know, a person who's idle every day, a person who's a sailor every 6 months, right? So it says here we deduct 7 coins a week. What if the guy's a sailor and he's not home for 6 months anyway, right? Do we deduct 7 coins every week that he's gone? Or do we deduct 7 coins only every 6 months? It's a good question, right? Let's learn out from here. Tani Rabbi Chia taught us arusa v'choyla v'nida. A woman who's arusa, she's just betrothed, but she is not yet married. Or she's sick, or she's a nida, or she's shomeres yava. So none of these women can really have relations. They're not yet in the case of where they're shy. I mean, they could, but they're not really shy after relations yet. So koiselo geras meral ksuvas, and nonetheless, if they rebel against their potential husbands or their husbands, we write them a document that they rebelled on their ksuva, and we start deducting money from them. So, what are you talking about? If we're talking about where she rebelled when she was already in nida, the Torah made him rebel. She made her rebel. She's not to have relations with her husband. She's in nida, right? Okay, what I tell you about Shemardalav Achalo Bas Nida. She rebelled before she became a nida. And then she became a nida. So Arayna really, why at this point it shouldn't be considered rebellion, because she rebelled. Now she's also to him anyway. She's off limits because the Torah forbade her. Vat Amar Koisvin. Nonetheless, we say we write Igeris merit means we deduct from her ksuva. Why is that? Because it's not comparable if he knows he has, the potential to have relations, than not having the potential to have relations. And since she rebelled before she became a nida, and she continues her state of rebellion, so therefore we deduct the meter keeps running even though she's a nida. Okay? The kapoches here until he would take off as well. Can we take off from the additional amount of ksuva like her dowry? Right, the 100 zuz she gets in that mother, or the 200 zuz of Sulah, I understand we deduct from that. But what about the extra amount she brought in as her dowry? It's not fair really to deduct that, right? So it says more, no, it is fair. We deduct from that as well. Do we take away from additional ksuva which she brought in? Let's put it from here. He continues to deduct from the ksuva even after he exceeded the 200 zuz. Why? Shema tipol lo Yerusha b'makom acher. This was a quote from Mishnah. Maybe we should get Yerusha from elsewhere. V'yachsri migmamen, and he'll collect from that Yerusha. So it says the Gemara, Lo amar el Yerusha davar she'eino matzui. Well, actually, I guess it's a question. Lo amar el Yerusha davar she'eino matzui. Do you think he's only talking about a? Oh, there's got to be something wrong here. 1 second. I see. Okay. It's like this. Look, it's hard to say shiur in this situation. Lo amar, Lo amar el Yerusha davar she'eino matzui. The machlokas in our Mishnah. Tanakama holds you only go down to 200 zuz, not beyond that. Rabbi Yossi holds to go even beyond that into potential earnings. That machlokas is only by Yerusha, which she may or may not get. But the Tosefes Ksuva, the additional amount which she brought into the marriage, that's prevalent, and even Tanakama would agree that you deduct from that. That's what it says here. Lo amar Yerusha davar she'eino matzui. The machlokas our Mishnah is only about Yerusha, which is not prevalent. However, we're talking about Adamra Afilu Chosri Parna Parnun Dida Pochesmet. It's like prevalent, like Tosefes Ksuva. Then everybody agrees, even Tanakama, we deduct from that. Rabbi Seir,
even though
she brought it, yeah,
she takes that back.
She won't take it back anymore because we deduct. That's right, exactly. Even Nichse Miloy, Nichse Tom Barso, yeah, very strong, right. We don't want women to resort to this weapon. Okay? Rabbi Zeir, Rabbi Shem Shmuel said, Koitzin Yigeres merit al Arusa. You write a Yigeres merit on a Larusa. A woman who is betrothed and refuses to consummate the marriage by Nisuin, you'd start deducting from her ksuva. But not a Shomeres Yavam. Vein Koitzin Yigeres merit Shomeres Yavam. It's a contradiction what we learned before. But Rabbi Chia Nida v'choyel v'arusa v'shomeres yom and koising lo geres merit al ksuvasa. So it says more kanka mishnah rishona kanka mishnah achroina. Mishnah rishona is when we still encourage ibum. So then if she rebels, so we start deducting money from her. Mishnah achroina is nowadays when we only encourage chalitza. So now if she rebels, we don't deduct because we say she's right. Okay? Or Rabbi Yossi Barbuna feel tema can't Mishnah Achroina. You can even say everything is like Mishnah Achroina. It all works like Mishnah Achroina. It works that the way the Pei Moshe explains it very nicely. He says that if she says I'll do either chalitza, if she says I'll do chalitza, so then of course you can't tie it. Well, I want to do yibum because it's proper to do chalitza. Then you can't deduct. But if she says I don't want to do either yibum nor chalitza, just leave me alone. That's when we deduct from her each week, because she's rebelling against doing whatever has to be done, whatever it might be. Okay. Says the Gemara further. Basin shachreim. Now, this is all our Mishnah. However, a basin subsequently to our Mishnah decided to change the halacha, and it's not like our Mishnah. Rather, what do we do nowadays? It should say matrimba, which means we warn her. Arba Shabbosos. For 4 weeks we warn her, hey, shminza, go have relations with your husband. Right, what happens after 4 weeks? So then, after 4 weeks, we could tell her to write a receipt on her ksuva, meaning she loses her entire ksuva, and she is divorced. That's what we do nowadays. We streamline the procedure, which is really what you asked us to do before. Okay? Rabbi Chaim B'Shem Rabbi Shmuel, Rabbi Yosa. Rabbi Chaim Rabbi Yosa says, a woman who's being divorced because she fooled around. And she doesn't even get to take the clothes off her back, on her back. Now, normally, if a woman gets divorced or widowed, she gets to keep her clothes, whatever clothes she got during the marriage. But not if she was mizana, or we have reason to suspect that she was mizana. Moredes yeshla.
She remains alive.
Right. Well, now we're talking about mizana zeh, where you can't kill her. But moredes, or a woman who rebels, yeshla, her marriage, it's not, although it's not proper, but it's not of that, magnitude, and therefore she gets to keep the clothing. Right, so Shimon Levi said, no. Hamaredes Vayotzim Mishum Shemra, they're both the same boat. Neither of them have lo mazonos, not food, velo ployos, nor any clothing they can take out with them, even the rags. Ployos literally means rags. So normally you have to support your wife, but not if she's rebelling against you. And she doesn't get the clothing either. Amar Rabbi Yosef said, Ilay the Kasvin, those who write in the Ksuva initially, in Shana, in Shanas, or in Sana, in Sanas, if you hate me or I hate you, then so and so should happen. Or if I change or you change, so and so should happen. Same idea. But it means if something goes awry in our marriage, so X, Y, Z should be happen. Tonight moment, it's a valid condition because it's a condition in monetary matters. And conditions in monetary matters are valid conditions. Okay? Aloha test. Hamasha Sishta. Somebody who goes to Chutz La'aretz for some reason, or he's in town but he's not able to eat with her for some reason, or he doesn't want to eat with her. So he's feeding her through a third party. You can give her no less two measures of wheat, or 4 measures of barley a week. The only person who held that she gets barley is Rabbi Shmuel, because he lived next to Edom in the south of Eretz Yisrael, where the Edomites live, where it seems that a lot of barley grew. Mao Samach Edom, Lidroma, in the south of Eretz Yisrael, so therefore the barley was a fact there. But normally barley don't give your wife barley, probably they give your animal. Right, so therefore it's all
Sota is not the...
Right, no, it's very bad. So therefore it's only they had there, but it seems barley was plentiful, so that was a unique situation. For Noisi Lo Chati Kav Kitnis, you also give her half a measure of beans, V'chati Lo Kshem, and half a measure of oil, V'kav Grogos, and a measure of date, or Mana Dvela, or another kind of measure, a pressed date. Im Elo, if he doesn't have those kinds of commodities, Posti Lumasan, he makes a similar amount of payros of fruit in Makamacher of another type. V'noisi Mito, we give her a bed, Umapots, and a cushion. Elo Mito, Mapots, if he doesn't have a bed and a cushion, Martels, we give her a mat. V'noisi Lo Kippur Rosha, we give her a hat for her head. And a belt for her hips. Numino, Mimoy Lemoid, and new shoes every Yotzef. And a clothing budget of 50 zuz, Mishana Lashana from year to year. We don't give her new ones in the winter, in the summer, nor worn out old ones in the winter. You give her new clothing which will be, hold out better against the elements in the winter. Below saying that she wears the rags of those garments during the summer, and she gets to keep those rags as well. So as we talk about a minimum here, the one is going to say we're not talking about a rich girl here, or a rich family. We're talking about the bare minimum for an impoverished family. Okay? Ramana said, what's a mana? A mana, it should be without the vav, is arba ritlin. That's the measure it is. Okay? No silok kar, you give her a pillow, ner, a candle, upsila, a wick, kos, a cup, v'chavis, a barrel of wine, I guess. Actually, not necessarily wine. Chavis is just a jug, I guess, to control things, an empty jug. Ukidera, and a pot. In other words, all these things are basic kitchen utensils which you need, and he has to provide besides the things enumerated in our Mishnah. Rabbi Yosef Markar Einla. She doesn't get a pillow. Poor women, they don't sleep on pillows. We're talking about a poor woman here. Said, Osir Mazonos, what if she ate less than she was her allotment? Shalo. That goes back to the husband. She ate less? It's his profit. Beloyos, what if she has leftover clothing? So really it said in our Mishnah already, Shalo, that belongs to her. While she's married. So her husband is Michael. But a widow is being supported by the orphans. Bein Shosir Mazonos, Bein Shosir Beloyos. Whatever she was over, if it's food or clothing, should be ein on shelo. They don't belong to her, but rather they belong to the Yerushalmi. Okay. We give her a certain amount of money, a more kesef, every week for her needs, for her allowance. And she, even though this woman, for some reason, she and her husband are not getting along, she has to be allowed to eat with him Leila Shabbos Friday nights. The Gemara is going to discuss if that's a euphemism or not. If he doesn't give her this more kesef, she gets to keep her own handiwork. Under normal circumstances, so if she does get her allowance, what does she make for him? 5 measures of cloth, warped cloth in Yehuda, which are warped threads, I should say. Which are 10 slime in the Galil, or 10 slime of wolf threads, Yehuda, if she was nursing a baby, we make her work less, we give her more food. But when are all these standards mentioned? What if she be sold by a poor person? If a person is distinguished, everything according to his distinction. It says more, when it says Ochelasimo, that she eats with him, obviously that's a question where, as I said before, it's euphemism or not. So Rav, although his name's not mentioned, it was mentioned before, Rav says, it's a euphemism for relations. Every Friday night they have to have relations, even they're not getting along very well. They have to have relations every Friday night. Shimba Baba Shimba Yochanan said, Achilam Mamish. No, it means they literally eat together Friday nights. Now, according to Rav, that's a euphemism. What happens if they do eat together Friday night? So Chela, she eats, it should be the Korban Chains of Mishalah. So he's not required to feed her, so if they happen to eat a meal together Friday night, he brings his food to the table, she brings her food to the table, right? And they eat each their own food, right? But according to Rabbi Yochanan, who says, no, he literally has to feed her Friday nights, so Friday night, Ochelis, it should be again Korban Chains to Mishalah. Friday nights, he's got to provide the meal because that's part of the condition, that he provides the meal. Yain Eila. Now, wine she doesn't get. Shein Anios Yisrael Shoisis Yain. Poor women don't drink wine. Says Gemara, however, which women, Vashiro Shosos, which women do drink wine. Vatani, we have Brights which teaches us this. Maisa Marsa Bas Besus. So Maisa happened with Marsa Bas Besus, who was one of the very rich women in Yerushalayim. Chachamim decreed that she should get Sasayim Yain B'chol Yom. She should get a very large amount of wine every day. The based in Poskim Yain says Gemara, it's based in actually give women wine. Rabbi Chibra had to say Al Shum. The pasuk says Znus Yain V'tiro Shikach Leit. Doesn't wine cause licentiousness and grapes cause the heart to be taken? So it's bad for women to drink wine. Says more. Well, on the other hand, I have another. There's a lot. The Gemara is choppy here. I'm a little bit making up as I go along. A little bit I saw in the before, but the Gemara is a bit choppy. So it says more. Well, on the other hand, Fatin, that we learned he might have Minikov. She was in nursing. It said in our Mishnah, we might say that we make her work less. But even Lam said we give her more food. And Mao Mosif, and we have a tradition. What does he add on to her? Shimon Levi says, Amar Yain, wine. Shumar B'Zacholav. So we see her give a woman wine. It says.
It also helps her if she's a Moridus.
Actually, yeah, I think.
The Gemara doesn't mention that. Because they're talking about it increases Zeus, but if she's a Moridus, maybe she'll.
Well, the husband should realize that on his own, I guess. But here it's talking about, see, that's where the husband's involved, but here it's talking about the husband's, separate from her. So they're separated. Anyway, but actually, I think it's actually a question and answer. Rishum Levi Amar Yain. And then Dr. Gemara says, Shumar B'Sacholav. It says more, no, we really don't give wine under normal circumstances. We only give wine for increasing milk supply. So when does Basin provide milk? Wine to increase milk supply. And Chisar Ravivo B'Shem Rav Yochanan said, Avlu Tavshila Pasku. even with Martha Bas Besus, the reason why they gave her wine is not for drinking, but because she cooked with wine. She had a lot of menus which used wine, so she cooked with them. Ava Bichain, nevertheless, Kilosa. Martha Bas Besus cursed them, and she was upset she wasn't getting enough wine from them. And she said to them, you may give your daughters this stinking amount of wine. Rabbi Yacha said, we said Amen, because for us it was a lot of wine. So she thought she was cursing us, saying, you rabbis, you stingy rabbis, you should only give so much to your daughters. We said Amen, why we should give our daughters that much, right? She was, she was rich. May I see the consolation, which is of course a language of an oath. Had I not seen her, gathering barley corns, from among the hooves of horses in Akko, because after the Churban. It's a famous Gemara Kesuvos, which describes as being Rabbi Yochanan Zakkai who said this. I said about her, this pasuk, the very soft and very delicate one upon you, obviously underwent great turmoil later on. That's the rest of the pasuk. And the pasuk, if you don't know the beautiful one among the women, follow the footsteps of the sheep, and maybe you'll find some food underneath the sheep's hooves, the gomer, etc. The Tani, and we're also similar Maisa. Maisa ben Miriam Bito Chubi Shel Nagdima ben Gurion. Maisa with Miriam, the daughter of Nagdima and Gurion. Shepaskel Chachamim b'chamesh mils dinar kupa b'samim b'chol yom. Chazal, they gave her 500 dinar worth of Chanel number 5. I don't know what it was, some really fancy perfume every day. And she wasn't even married. She was just a Shomer Yava. But she was so rich, she was used to very fine perfume. She was upset at them. Well, she wanted even better perfume. She said, that's what you should give your daughters. And here it says, because I guess that it was a lot, but actually the Shari Teretz Yisrael says, Kaz Girsa from the Medrash, they didn't answer, you know why? Because she was a Shomer Yava. And they didn't want their daughters to potentially be, if they answered Amen, it would be like Amen, not just that they should get so much perfume, but their daughter should be in the evil situation. They didn't want that to happen, so that's why they didn't answer Amen. Amrei Lezer Tzarek said the same thing, a similar thing. Erev and Achama, actually worse here. She was dragged through the streets of Akko by her hair. I said about her that same pasuk before, Raka b'cha Vanuga, etc. Vanuga, etc. Okay, the Shari Torah changed around the psukim a little bit. Has one pasuk over there, another pasuk over here, not the same pasuk twice, but not important. Hajla chafo pisham new perak mitzias isha ma'asiyadeh. What a woman finds and what a woman makes, shabala, belong to her husband. Birushasa. What if she inherits? Who pairs b'chayeh? The husband eats the fruit during her lifetime. Bosha Subkam, what if she gets hit, whacked, really hard? So Bosha Subkam, the embarrassment and the damage caused her is Shalah. But Abraham Beser says a very interesting thing. This Machin Beser, if your damage is in secret, in other words, some part of her body which is not apparent, she gets 2 parts. For low echad, he gets 1 part. With Machin Goli, when it's in a revealed part of her body, low shnei she gets 2 parts. The low echad, she only gets 1 part. Shalo nosim lo miyad, what he gets immediately. The shalo, what's coming to her, lokach b'em karka, used to buy real estate, for comparison, he eats the fruit of that in the meantime. Okay? Because obviously during her marriage, what's she going to do with it? Says the Gemara further. Tapulam Tesmanach. Rabbi Chizkiah b'shem Rabbi Ami said, he's Palgun Rabbi Yochanan Rishim Lakish. Rabbi Yochanan Rishim Lakish had a machlokas. Chadam, I think once in our mission goes like everybody. Chadam Mar machlokas, he said it's machlokas. I don't know who said what, Rabbi Yochanan Rish Lakish. Mistav Rabbi Shimon Lakish who do Amar b'machlokas. It makes sense to say Shimon Lakish holds the machlokas. Because Pasal, he'll explain our Mishnah. So this is really a case we had a couple of days ago. It was a complicated case. It was a case where you give her food, but you don't give her the extra allowance of the ma a week. Utzninan, and we learned, we don't give the extra allowance. That we already learned today in the Mishnah on top of Lamachesa base. You don't give her the extra money for allowance. Maisi Yodeh Shalom. She gets her own Maisi Yodeh. Now that's clear. What the Gemara doesn't bring down here is that we had a few days ago at Lamed Ham and Beis, Lamed Ham and Al, what about them under those circumstances where she gives the Maisi Yodeh? What happens to the Moiser Maisi Yodeh? It's the extra amount she makes because she pushes herself and goes beyond what she normally would make in handiwork. So that we had a machlokas from Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Yochanan Sandler. Rabbi Meir holds it's his and he can be makdish because it's his. Rabbi Yochanan Sandler holds so it's also not his. And he can't be makdish that. Just like the Maisi Diamond is, he can't be makdish it. Okay? So therefore, the question is then, what is the halacha of mitzia? Mitzia is not Maisi Yodeh, it would seem. Mitzia is something above Maisi Yodeh. She finds something, it's not her handiwork, it's something above and beyond that. So if you hold that Moiser Maisi Yodeh, that which is above her handiwork, it's Machlokes, Rabbi Yochanan, Sandler, Rabbi Meir. Who owns it? Him or her? The same Machlokes would be relevant to Mitzia. Who owns the Mitzia? Him or her would be a Machlokes as well. So therefore, Rish Lakish who holds that Moiser Maisi Yodeh is the subject of Machlokes, that which is above and beyond the normal handiwork, but also Mitzia is a Machlokes. And here it says Mitzia Isha Shabala, that's like Rabbi Meir holds Moiser Maisi Yodeh is Shabala as well. Okay? Says the Gemara, Asa Rabbi, Maisi Yodeh, Maisi Yodayim Sheikh Mitzia. Because they're talking about the mice, it really means that the mitzia and mice is like a type of Maisi Yodayim which is extra, and therefore that would be the subject of machlokas. That's one version named Rabbi Shimon Lakish.
It's passive income. It's not.
So I asked Rabbi Yaakov, you may be Shem Rabbi Shimon Lakish. Rabbi Yaakov, you may say the came named Rabbi Shimon Lakish, and said Divra Koli. That mitzia is not separate. It's not above and beyond Maisi Yodeh, which I think is the point you're making. It's not a distinct category. Maisi Yodeh is where she worked above and beyond.
That's earned income.
That's earned income. But mitzia is just something which comes into her hand. Right, so why should not be part of Maisi Yodeh? So therefore it's part of Maisi Yodeh. So our mission says it goes to her husband. It's talking about a case where he's feeding her and giving her allowance. And then everybody agrees that just like Maisi Yodeh belongs to him, so too the mitzia belongs to him as well. Having Deon Isla Rabbi Shimon Lakish. There are two possible understandings, or two opinions in Rabbi Shimon Lakish. One is that mitzia is like Moiser Maisi Yodeh. It's above and beyond, therefore it's the subject of machlokes. And the other is that mitzia is like Maisi Yodeh, and therefore it's not the subject of machlokes. Okay? Now, this is going in the next part of the Mishnah. Mishnah said that the Mishnah says that if she inherits stuff, he eats the fruit. Right? It's still her inheritance, but he eats the fruit of the inheritance, right? So according to whom do we have to say this? Yeah. I mean, it's called Rabbi Meir. We need to say it's called Rabbi Meir. Avagav Meir, Avid Yada, Evid Kiad Rabo. Normally, Rabbi Meir says, if an Evid acquires something, who gets it? The master. Yada, Evid, the hand of a slave is like the hand of a master. And Zachsa Yisha, if a woman acquires something, Zacha Bala, her husband acquires it. That's not completely. When it's real estate, or anything else which can be sustained over time, the husband doesn't acquire lock, stock, and barrel. He only acquires the right of usage as long as the marriage is in existence. For example, also if she brought in a car, so the husband has jurisdiction over who uses the car, but whose car is it remains her car. Okay? Says the Gemara. Yeah, but that you're right, and there was a bad example that I gave. Better example would have been that if she gets a car during the marriage. Like, let's say she buys a car with money which she brought into the marriage or something like that. Not that she brought the car into marriage, or somebody gave her a gift of a car, right? So even though he has the rights to use it, but it's really her car. Okay? Says the Gemara. Today we learned over there. The Mitzvah of one's minor child, and his non-Jewish slaves. So his wife finds. See a pattern there? Minors, slaves, wife, slaves. It used to be that way in the good old days. He gets them. Why? It's a very interesting lumdus, because he can put them to work. So therefore, whatever he's constantly charging their work, no restrictions. So therefore, he says, you're finding a Metzia, it's like a Migo. Migo that I could have had you working at that time. If you found a Metzia, I want that Metzia, comes to me. Okay? However, what's the reason why we say Metzias B'no Bito HaGdolim? Something which is adult children find. And his Jewish slaves find. And these people get to keep them. There's a limit of what you can make your adult kids and your Jewish slaves do. There's no limit on what you can make your wife do. But there's a limit of what you can make your Jewish slaves and adult children do. I'm telling you, there's a different world back then. I can't even imagine it. Says the Gemara. So therefore, they can say this was our off time. This wasn't when we were subject to your jurisdiction. Hey, see when they ask a question like this, wait a minute, says the Gemara. Let's be realistic. Your wife, you can't make her do any work you want. She's not your slave. Even back then, they knew that she's not your slave. So how come the Metzias is his? Because your wife, there's 7 malachas she got to do for you, right? We said today, 7 things: cooking, cleaning, sewing. But she doesn't have to shine your shoes. So what's the shot? So it says the Gemara on Rabbi Yochanan said you're right, and this reason is brought down to Bavli as well. There's another reason why they're masakits, the takana the Rabbanan, that the Metzia wife finds close to her husband. What's the other reason? So she won't fight with her husband. Okay, if you don't make the Metzia go to the husband, they're always going to have fights. He's going to be jealous, upset. So therefore, they just made a takara that the Metzia should go to the husband.
Yeah, but you go the other way around too. She'll be angry at him in that fight because she has to turn over her Metzias to him.
I guess they're cheshbon to be less fights that way. What can I tell you? You're right, but that's the way they figured. They have to do it one way. Rabbi Yossi Lomar came. Rabbi Yossi says a different reason. He didn't say it like that. He gave a much more subtle reason. Otherwise she'll get all sorts of things, and she'll sneak them away, hide them away from her husband. Oh no, that's not yours. That's a Metzia. That's really my Sia there. Something else which is coming to her, coming to him. I'm sorry. So in order that she shouldn't do that, so he said even Metzia goes to him. So says, well, wait a minute. But we know if somebody else gives his wife a gift, that gift belongs only to the woman, not to him. How come? Maybe she'll come and she'll lie and she said, oh, this is a gift. So why are we not afraid there? It says, people know about gifts. They don't know about Metzias. So therefore, she can't claim something's a gift unless it's really a gift. We're afraid she'll claim something is a Metzia even though it's not. What about if she found something in front of witnesses so everybody knows it's a Metzia? Why can't she keep it then? Says the Gemara, they asked for that one because of the other case where it's not in front of Eidim, where we call him the Bavli low plug. They don't try distinction. Once they said Metzia, we're afraid she's going to secret things away from him. Then we said all Metzias go to him. I'm Rabbi Yochanan. Now, getting back to what we said previously, that adult children, if they find something, it goes to them. It's a catch. If you're supporting them, then you get it. I'm Rabbi Yochanan b'shein tfuli l'aviyim, when they're not dependent on their father. Avim yitfuli l'aviyim, they're dependent on their father. Mitzias and shalo, what they find goes to their parents. Period. Rabbi Yitzchak Paskin, Bohain the Mishmik Intasay, a person who leaves his wife, V'lo Marik Lapurna, and doesn't give her ksuva, right? I think it's actually divorces her. he's divorced and hasn't given her ksuva yet. Shubala mizonas atrosha v'marka. He still has to feed her until he actually gives her the ksuva. Even though a divorced woman doesn't get mizonos, but he's got to give. He's got to give because he's a stinker. He's not paying her ksuva. So the Ridbaz asks an interesting question. He brings down the bottom. How come it's not ribbis? Because in the end, she's going to get a ksuva plus the mizonos. So that's ribbis. It's interest. I don't think it's such a big kasha. Because it's not really interest on a loan. The ksuva is an obligation, not a loan in the classic sense.
And he's being a stinker.
Right, he's being a stinker. Should fine him anyway, right? All right, it's a strange question. Rabbi Tifon Rabbi Yaakov Shari Blum Vakana said, the law, and this is going back where it says, Boshas of Boshas. If it's in a public place, if it's in a place which is revealed, so if it's a place that's concealed, so she gets 2 portions and he gets 1. Place where it's revealed, he gets 2 portions and she gets 1. So 2/3, 1/3 distinctions. So it says more Rabbi Yaakov Sherabun said Gosana said he didn't lose anything. He didn't lose anything. In other words, it's not his loss, it's her loss. So therefore, to compensate her for her loss, she should get the Boshas of God, right? But say so Lama Noitel. Alright, so if that's the case, why when it's secret does he get something? If it's in his private place. And it says in the Kohen Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira that if it's a private case, he gets 1/3, right? It's a private place, he gets 2/3. No, private place means under the clothes, public place means over the clothes. So it says more Minei Tzarosh Mitztarimah. Because Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira holds we have to, because he also is suffering with her. Right? So therefore, since he's suffering with her, so therefore we give him a portion. And the extent to which he's suffering, we give him more. So if it's in a private place, so he's not suffering so much, we give him 1/3. If it's in a public place, so then he's suffering because his wife is degraded in public, so then we give him 2/3. That's not like Tanakama. Tanakama always holds it goes to her. But Rabbi Yehuda holds, since he's part and parcel of the Tsar, so therefore we give him part and parcel of the reward.
And they don't take into account the suffering that the woman has, in a public place she's known.
Well, so she'll get 1/3 because of that.
Only 1/3.
Yeah.
And she gets 2/3.
Right. You got it.
Reason number 75 by
Okay.
women to learn.
On that happy note, we'll stop here.